grab your drink and sit down. Listen to the podcast of the strange, the old, the pagan, and the Christian overcoming evil. This is the Grizzly Files podcast.
Are you very thankful, wife?
I am very
You're very thankful. I'm thankful too. Hey, everybody. We haven't made a new one of these in a long time. Welcome to the Grizzly Files, as my wife's lovely rendition.
And I got my wine.
Yeah, I have iced coffee because we were out of wine and I needed energy, not to calm me down. She needed to calm down. I needed energy. A child tried to splash his brains all over the floor.
I wouldn't say it that way, but yeah, I felt that.
He's bashed blood. We had to heal the poor child. Man, needless to say, this lesson almost did not happen until later. This episode. This is an episode, not a lesson. Yeah, if you guys don't know yet, we also do a Sunday school lesson now, so you may get confused matters every now and then. But, wife.
Yes.
As we are doing tradition, what wine are you drinking today?
I am drinking the Stella Rosa Black bottle.
Yes, I believe we've done that one on stream before.
We have.
But it is a nice, simple wine.
We've had it with cheesecake, if you remember way back when we used to get those little cheesecakes.
Yeah. We did have little cookies with peanut butter, but they were way too crunchy for the recording. We didn't want to make you guys too jealous.
If I really wanted to make you too jealous, I would just go get celery and go...
What am I drinking, wife? What is this coffee?
So this is a medium roast. It's a local to the Floridian Nights.
Floridian Nights?
Yep.
Is that an order of knights?
The Floridians.
Floridian Nights.
The Floridians.
I feel like I need to put that in an AI image generator, like the Floridian Nights. I think we'll get something pretty fun there, like they're riding gators in the battle or something. Yeah.
It's
fancy coffee.
Actually, the back of the package is quite fascinating. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. She's getting the package.
It's earthy, brown sugar, and cashew coastal blend.
And then she dumps more sugar in it and milk into a nice iced coffee mix. It's the only way I would drink coffee.
Yeah.
It's the only way I can appreciate it.
Yeah, I really like how they do the grounding. They ground it very well.
If you're ever in the Panhandle, stop by the Apalachicola area. You need to go to the chocolate factory there. It's delicious.
They sell their coffee at the Pig. If you don't know what the Pig is, it's like a local...
I think they know what pigs are. Why?
Well, it's the grocery store, not the animal that they sell at the grocery stores.
It does have a bit large anamorphic pig. And no, even though this is technically a horror podcast, ain't the right way. It's supernatural podcast. Woo. It is not an evil pig.
No, it's not evil. Mean Porky.
mean Porky. You may be like, hey, are you going to get to the point? Yeah, I'm going to get to the point, mother trucker.
This is such a serious topic, and we just kind of,
More to the point, I have to stick to tradition, man.
Yeah.
You come in here, you should be enjoying yourself and laughing a little bit
before
we deal with the crap.
What we're going to talk about today is, well, my husband needed an idea for a episode, and so I gave him an idea, and this is... We'll tell you what this episode is about shortly. But it was kind of shocking because usually it's not my cup of tea, if I say, or my type of...
Wife does not do the creepy things because she's dealt with real creepy things too many times.
For somehow this one came to mind. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of shocking out of the blue, the way I usually act towards this. But
yeah,
let's get to it.
No, I think we should go on for another 10 minutes not saying what it is, even though they clicked on the title. I mean, they know what it is. We're not holding them in suspense.
Right. The title always gives me away.
But that's okay. Lilith, the freaky Lilith thing that you've probably heard about in pop culture. They put demonic Lilith in a lot of different things. Lately, more and more, they've been trying to make it more of a positive character. Ugh. Everyone take a shower.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to take several after this.
And we're going to get a little into it because it's a very, especially for those in North America, a very in-depth topic. very, very historical in nature, shall we say.
Like, how far back in history are we talking about?
Thousands of years at least.
One of those things.
Man, see. Also, I need to warn you guys, we might have to do a part 2 of this some other time, because
there's just so much.
I wanted to have a little more time to write down my notes, but child blood spiritual attacks were happening, and we felt like we needed to get this going and not let them have their way. It felt like
it was they're trying to delay us.
Yeah, so we made sure we were doing. Let me tell you, I didn't feel like doing it tonight after the adventure, and
yeah.
Putting ice on the boy's head.
Thankfully, it wasn't that much blood, but still not a good location where it was.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I will also tell you guys, be prayed up, because it always seems to go after the kids. Like I've brought this up, I believe, in previous, if not a stream, than one of these episodes. Spiritual things, if you're protected up, will always go after your family, and they always go after the kids first.
And we suggest, especially with this thing, say the topic, do the Psalms 91 prayer.
We're jumping right into that. Okay.
I am, just right now,
exciting.
while we talk about preparations, because before we actually pushed the record button, we actually sat here and said the prayer.
And then we got the good vibes going. It was very important. I won't read all of it to you guys right now, but the important part that we're going to get into, right? You should read it in first person. All the rest, I need to reference the guy that I'm getting most of my stuff from, because wife jumped ahead on me, and I did get his full name.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
What is he? It was something. I did get it. Yeah, I meant to research his podcast, because he went on the confessionals and did a very detailed thing. And I'm taking mostly from him, to be honest. So feel free to go to confessionals and listen to his stuff. It's really good. But I felt like it was really important to spread amongst circles that we know as well. Mm-hmm. But he goes by Bo, and he runs the Bump podcast, like Bump in the Night.
Kind of like the thump in the night that you always say.
Yes. What goes bump in the night? And
my car.
His
That's too close to him.
Oh my god. Your poor cars. They
pulled up our cars.
Anyway, he has a very personal connection to this particular demonic entity that is very fascinating. But, bear with me here, we'll get through it. Mm-hmm. So, Psalms 91 prayer is very powerful. Again, shout out to this Bo guy, who I need to learn the last name of. Apologies. I'll write that in the description. Let's see here. But the important part of Psalms 91 in reference to this topic is, you will not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the destruction that wastes at noonday. The important part is the terror at night. Because when this demonic entity received its name, if you will, and started getting a sort of foothold in certain cultures, it was it mongrel bitch face. I like bitch face. Can we call her bitch face? Mm-hmm. It's kind of nice. Was referred to as in the language, the description, as a demonic terror by night, a strangler of babies, particularly attacking of children. Was the whole thing. They would use this prayer, Psalms 91, they would write it on talismans and stuff and put it in baby cribs and all the rest. Again, if you have young children in your house, please just read Psalms 91 for my personal benefit and yours, so you have all your bases covered. Nasty bitch. But this is part of the reason why we bring it up, is so that you guys aren't blindsided by her like my wife and I actually are starting to believe we were. It's a very fascinating realm of affairs that we'll get to. But first, let's get into a little bit of what this demonic entity possibly is, most likely is. Oh, we're going to be jumping around all over the place, baby. But yeah, that first kind of reference to Lilith, she ranges from being like a vampire, shapeshifter, owl bitch. She kind of takes on the form of a harpy, but does more of a siren's job, so associated with the sea and white and owls. Incidentally, did I mention the fact that our lovely, horrible, corrupt benefactors who just got their ass kicked in a certain election worship an owl god, an owl statue out in Bohemian Grove with burning eyes and do mock, quote unquote, human sacrifices to it? We at least they got filmed of that once. Whether they're always mock is always the question. But those connections will grow as we go. So, associated with the sea and all this other stuff. That's the first kind of implementation. And also specifically, I need to get this out here, because she has a bunch of weird references and names and a bunch of different cultures that started popping up. And in all the cultures, they would refer to her as some weird vampiric bitch thing that was coming after children specifically. And, ooh, you may be thinking, but hey, I heard this weird story about her being I watched Supernatural, and she's the mother of monsters, which is oddly accurate and inaccurate.
Yeah.
It's accurate because there's a strong connection with Lilith and the original Watchers. So we'll get into that, but first let's scratch a certain story, okay? The concept that she was Adam's original wife and then refused him and wanted to be the dominant partner.
Sounds like somebody who
flew away and thus became a feminist icon. She is a feminist icon not because she was a rebellious Adam's first wife, but because she's a demonic bitch and feminism is attached to witchcraft.
Who would have known?
Yes. We'll get into that.
Witchcraft and astrology, apparently, right?
Yeah, specifically witchcraft at least, but astrology could be involved.
You talk about the crescent moon? I know, I'm jumping.
Man, I'm trying to keep like a narrative for these people. Wife's like, hey, let's jump over here.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you can't just say, I mean, you could kind of call astrology witchcraft in this case. So why repeat yourself?
Well, I like to flavor my different enemies so I know what I'm dealing with. You could be a witch and not use astrology, but you could be an
astrologist and not be a witch.
But then again, sometimes...
Is this the chicken before the egg or the egg?
More
in
like
the end, they're both meat.
More like a Venn diagram is more what you're thinking about. There is this part where astrologers and witches are much the same thing, kind of in the middle. Yeah, that's called
the eggshell. Before it gets crushed.
And sometimes those details are very like...
It doesn't
matter.
What's the
difference between a sorcerer and a witch? I don't know. Sometimes I do. Sometimes some people say, oh, this one summons spirits. Well, that one, yeah, but the witch summons familiars and stuff too. So,
what's
it
the
depends.
Difference between it? Because they're both in the spiritual thing.
And then, if you're a Native American, you just call, whether they're male or female, you just call them witches. I actually am kind of cool with that. So, if you remember...
So witches be bitches.
Well, yes, that. And I can't help but think of that one episode from Phineas and Ferb where, every time it comes, it's the Wicked Witch, I'm a warlock! And that's just what I imagine when I deal with witches now.
You just hear Goof's voice.
Though now I think I'll, place tranny garb on them in my head in, a really deep voice. It's ma'am!
Come on.
Now they like being called witches, bitches! We are recording properly, right? Yes, excellent, because that was hilarious, and I want that for later. It's ma'am.
Okay.
You distracted me with the
I'm sorry, but okay. Now
okay.
Okay.
Right. That story, those original demonic stories about Lilith being a demonic entity, right? That stuff happened much earlier. Again, I wish I'd remembered to write down the dates, but we're talking thousands of years earlier. Why the story about Lilith supposedly being Adam's wife was in fact a creation of Muslim origin, Islamic origin in the medieval period. So, we're going to get into strange attachments that Lilith has to Islam. Namely, a symbol that you often see, especially in like tattoo parlors, is like a moon with crescent moons around it. What's the symbol in
Islam? The crescent moon with the stars.
Crescent moon and the stars, right? We have this connection to them making a false story about Lilith, which means they had interactions with this specific demon. And remember, you might be saying, Lilith's not in the Bible. She is not in the Bible in the sense that they don't mention her name. But as we bring up in Psalms 91, right, the terror that goes, right, that is referencing her specifically. I believe it's either her Roman name, I forget, or Sumerian name, where that's her title sounds like Lilith, and it's comes out as a translation to Terror by Night.
Interesting. So
that's why she's attached, and you say, "Oh, well, we're gonna get there, baby. We're gonna get there." So, we get a little screwy when you get into like old Jewy texts. I don't always mean that in negative.
Get screwy in a different way, but
specifically, these are some texts that are around ancient Hebrew literature, and one of them is called the Zohar. And again, I wish I had had more time to look into this book, because I hadn't heard of this book until I'd heard this.
Hence, there would be a part 2 of this. So,
But Zohar is probably the oldest reference to Lilith. And in this one, she is listed as one of the 4 wives of the Nephilim who come down. Mother of monsters. Remember that bit? Yeah. So that's why, in a way, Supernatural was lying to you, but also being correct. Lying in one way, in the fact that, the original wife of Adam, I'm pretty sure they went with that story. I can't remember, because by the time Lilith was included...
I think it's where it's going, really. I can't...
Or was that... did they just straight up make that a demonic entity and then change the name when the Mother of Monsters character came? I don't know. I just remember that the show had gone downhill by the time they introduced the Mother of Monster bit. No one liked that bit. It was like...
I was shocked how much seasons or episodes I got through.
Well, that's because they're killing monsters 90% of the time.
I know.
You, like most of the women who watch that, want to see attractive men make funny jokes, and then the men with you want to see them kill the monster. It's great.
It's nice seeing masculinity defeat, evil things.
There you go.
And that's why demasculation, toxic masculinity.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that's why I married you. I'm like, oh, baby.
Yes, this is why I married you.
I'm a little too bald to be referenced to those guys, though. I got to hit the gym if you're going to put me in the same sentence as Dean or all that. But that's all right.
Hate what is evil, but cling to what is good, as the Bible says. And I do hate what is evil. So do you. So,
Now I feel like I got to get abs.
I mean, they're there, just as kind of hidden.
Wow, how to insult your husband without insulting your husband. That's all right. I come from a long Dutch line of, floating when the boat sinks, so I'll live when... I come with my own flotation.
They're there. I know they're there.
Distraction. So again, Zohar lists 4 names as specifically... women who are given up to the fallen angels to be wives in exchange for knowledge. And so if you don't know, right, if we go into Genesis, you have that whole, is it Genesis 6? I believe it is Genesis 6.
I got my Bible.
You find it.
I got my Bible.
It talks about how the sons of God, which is largely accepted, is angelic hosts rebelling against God.
Was it on when? Okay.
Genesis 6, my love, but it's not really necessary. People probably know.
I know.
Right, mixed with mankind, and they create giants and all kinds of monsters and weird crap. And if you read into the book of Enoch, which is referenced by the New Testament...
I remember the Lord said, my spirit shall not abide in man forever, for his flesh in 20 years. The Nephilim were on earth those days. That was when the increasing of the corruption on earth.
Yeah, you're mumbling then. But mumbling loud enough, I don't feel like talking over you. That's going to be weird on the recording live. Anyway, yes, it's Genesis 6. Anyway.
6 verse 4, that area. Read that.
If you don't know about it, right? And so But
you better know about it now.
the Book of Enoch adds more context to this. And most people say, oh, that's not part of the Bible. Yes, but it's referenced by Jesus Christ, Paul, and there's several themes from the Book of Enoch that goes all throughout Scripture. And
if it's referenced, then why is it referenced?
The point is, the apostles and Jesus Christ treated it like Scripture, or at least heavy enough that I should look at it. Maybe it ain't all 100%, but it, they never referenced Esther like that, and I have to treat that like Scripture. Maybe I just get annoyed at that.
Esther was a different case, but yeah.
That's all right. So, in the Book of Enoch, it says that people gave up these women as brides in exchange for knowledge, metallurgy. It was metallurgy, I believe. If we go into this little thing, where was it? I had it written down. It was like metallurgy. It was like music and arts and crafts, and then things like a husbandry with animals and all this knowledge. And then,
oh my gosh!
Well, all the notes. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. There was a lot.
No, I heard husbandry with animals, and I'm like, oh shit.
Well, if that's the term for raising animals, like on farms.
Oh, I thought something horrible.
I mean, yeah, that happened too. There's a reason why God said not to do that. But no, not in this case. Raising goats.
We're not.
That's animal husbandry.
We're not talking about bestiality.
Let's not tell them. We'll get to Greek mythology. We'll talk about that.
You know what? I'm really happy I'm bringing laughter at this. Because I needed to mock the boy.
That's exciting. Mother and monsters, indeed. It is rather included. So,
yeah, drink some wine with that.
But another big one was also divination, the stars and stuff that wife was ringing up, and witchcraft were all introduced. And it's referenced, I believe, in the Book of Enoch, but also a little bit in some surrounding Jewish texts. That's what they traded these women for. And the Book of Zohar gives 4 names: Lilith, something funky ass.
Oh, Agrifalsa.
Nama. Ooh, Nama is going to be important. Remember that. And then another unimportant name right now.
Right.
Ishif Zenuma. It's
whatever. Okay.
It's a name that has not been found yet. You let me know if you can find it. Now, what becomes important with this is we have a genealogy section. I know. We're going to do something with genealogy. Are you
serious?
Yeah, Bo brought this up. I was very impressed with this.
The guy from that, YouTube guy.
And yes, he brought up a lot. Usually with these genealogies, they only mention the male names because, Mesopotamian culture and all that.
Right, but what about
a female name is mentioned?
Who?
Guess which name?
Jezebel? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I would not be surprised if Jezebel was communing with Lilith or one of these. Nama is actually mentioned as a descendant of Cain. Oh,
story of Canaanites?
Yeah, Cain, the first murderer. And then one of his descendants, who was another murderer, who was a vicious bastard as well. And his sons were supposedly the ones who gave up Nama to gain knowledge.
I just opened to Cain and Abel. That's weird.
Yeah. And it's interesting, right? We have this name Nama right here in the Zohar, and then we have this genealogy and this one point where they mention these 3 guys, right? The 3 sons of Cain's descendant who had a really fun name. What was it? It was Camlamech or something like that. Cain something.
There's Canan, Cenan.
Whatever. What was it? Jabal? Alan, Zillah. Whatever. He had 2 wives, Ada and Zillah, and he had sons who were all given these different gifts, and each one, it reads like Jabal was the guy of crafts and animal husbandry. Anyway, and then this other guy was the father of music. This other guy got metallurgy. Another one got witchcraft. Blah blah blah. Right?
Weird.
And then they say their sister was Nama. Now, why would it mention that when it hasn't been mentioning sisters, right? They might mention a wife.
Right, but why?
Well, because it's in reference of their skills that they got. They didn't father these things. They were given it
In
for
replacement, right.
giving up their sister as a wife to this demonic and this fallen angel entity. Right, you can see literally kind of, I don't know how exactly this went down, but you could get this imagery of giving up a woman and you get knowledge.
Yeah, that sounds like trafficking. Yeah. Okay.
The funny thing is, these women seem to have given up a piece of their humanity in a way, or gotten some serious juju from this encounter. Because Lilith, of course, is mentioned in these names. Nama is mentioned here. We have that biblical connection. And then we have this connection to a demonic entity named Lilith, who comes the Night Strangler and all the mother of monsters and all this stuff. Hence, mother of the Nephilim, right?
Makes you rethink SIDS.
Yes. So you have this connection going down that these women, when they did this connection, willingly giving themselves over to create these monsters, right? They don't just die normally either. They apparently can become something demonic, which, if we go into what the Book of Enoch calls demonic entities, remember, they are, at least in one situation, the spirits of the Nephilim, who are not fully man, not fully angels, so they can't go to heaven or hell, or they can't go into purgatory. They're stuck on earth, and they're always trying to inhabit a body. They can't, right? That's what a demon is. It's an unclean spirit of that sort. So it makes sense that the ones that mixed with these angels might then be attached and have a similar issue and have some serious mojo behind them. That's a bit of a stretch, but it's strange that you have this demonic entity listed and then coming back through culture. And again, I often wondered,
my goodness,
that her symbol being the symbol of the owl, it was always kind of strange to me why,
you're gonna bring Harry Potter into this?
Well, no, I was gonna bring Moloch into this.
Oh well, okay.
But yes, Harry Potter, sure.
Like that's the messenger or something, right?
Well, specifically, the Moloch and the Baal worship is very similar, and then out of nowhere in the continental United States, the people worshiping Baal and Moloch are also worshiping this owl. And you're like, well, where'd the owl come from? The Baal's a bull creature. Moloch's similar. The Asherish pole has nothing to do with owls. The funny thing is, a lot of Native American cultures have this thing where owls, bad juju. I know there's at least one that was like freaking out.
Like you see an owl and you're going to die kind of a thing.
Yeah. So much so that one of their enemy tribes started raising owls to freak them out.
Oh my God.
I mean, I give them credit for the both. They're like, oh, hey, you're really terrified of these things. Well, hey, look at what I got, big.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
But funny. April Fool's.
Man, horrible hot diggity dog. But again, those connections are all really fascinating. I can't say 100% for sure on all of it, but it is a strong enough connection to say, instead of saying Lilith was a possible first wife of Adam, that in fact she's a demonic entity that once was human, but gave herself over to a fallen god, to a dark god. Because remember, these are sons of God. And God, in Psalms 82, refers to them as gods. He says, you are gods, and thus basically holding them to a higher standard. Now, a lot of people have trouble with this, because they're like, no, calm down. It's, as I've put in one of my lessons, this is like the difference between me being a basketball player in elementary school and LeBron James. Yes, were we both technically basketball players? 100%. But one was in a complete league that I will never spit on in my entire life. You understand what I mean there? Right, that whole thing. God is LeBron James. These things are somewhere between me. Yeah, I said you are gods, sons of the Most High. All of you, nevertheless, like men, you shall die and fall like any prince. Right. That's Psalm 82. There are other references. It's not just that verse. It's very important with biblical things that you have more verses attaching to it, because sometimes, I know this is kind of a shocker for some people. Sometimes the writers of these various books will include themselves into the work, and it sneaks in, or translation issues will happen. A very fascinating one with this that I just found recently was 2 Samuel. It's one of the sins of David. So One of the few sins of David. You've all heard of Bathsheba.
Bathsheba, yeah.
Bathsheba.
She was a Bathsheba at some point, and she wore nothing.
And that's what caught his attention, if you know what I mean. But his other sin was when he counted the people. Like, he did a census, basically relying on his own arms. And in the beginning of this, you have 2 Samuel say that God was displeased with Israel, so it led David to sin. But in 2 Chronicles, it says that the devil enticed his heart and made him sin. So, is this just a contradiction? Is this just the human writers inserting what they think happened? I don't know. It's an interesting problem, and all I know is the event happened, so that's what I'm going to roll with.
I find it funny that Bathsheba, first 4 words is bath.
That's because she was in the bath and she was peeped on.
That's how she got her name?
Yes. No, I'm sure her name was otherwise. I don't...
It's just funny. It's just...
That is...
I need humor too.
Kind of. Very, very humorous. You know, interesting thing also. The name Nama is really fascinating. Because, you know, this is technically a story about Lilith. But I think I want to do a deep dive into Nama one day. Because a lot of... if you don't know, Nama is the name for a snake-like human-woman hybrid entity out of Eastern culture.
Like Eastern Asia.
You might have even seen this character in a few games. I know I did. Final Fantasy 15, 14. Nama. Right? It's in some animes and stuff. It's like, sometimes it's a half woman, half snake entity demon thing. And it's interesting. Because think about it, right? If Lilith is seen as like a harpy siren, the harpy that acts like a siren, what if these other 4, what if each one took a different shape? And this one took on more of a snake shape, right?
Oh, shit. Depending on the region.
And we're getting into that. Principalities of darkness. Oh, this was a theory that Bo brought up that I think really holds water. And it goes back even to I said to those Native Americans who thought owls were freaky bitches and to stay away from them and they were bad news. This is also a lot of skinwalker stories involve them turning into owls. Like, you know, usually coyotes but owls are also a popular change. Is the idea that Lilith's is a principality now because her twisted hubby is now imprisoned in Tartarus, so beneath the earth. So if you don't know, the original fallen angels who mixed and made the Nephilim. The book Enoch makes it very clear, and I think there's some references in the Bible too, that they are imprisoned and trapped. And in fact, fun little side note, when it said basically when Jesus Christ died on the cross, but then came back, one of the things he did was he went to these angels in Tartarus.
And mocked them.
Yeah, and basically went, I won, bitches. You're screwed.
Suck it.
And then went back up to heaven. I'm coming back, baby. When I come back, it's going to be tough.
Oh, man.
Right. So, the idea being, them being the queens, they take over when the kings are imprisoned.
Oh, shoot. Wow.
It's a pretty good theory.
It is.
It could also be giving them too much leeway.
Still, you know.
But it does seem like a very... Because in the Zohar, I think it was Zohar, or maybe some other Jewish text, they're referred to as like the queens of darkness or queens of demons, or that kind of thing. Nice. Now, it is very important to take a lot of this with a grain of salt, but use enough of it in your defense. Like, for instance, this connection to the Psalms 91 prayer is very important. The connection to the fact that Lilith, and I would assume probably these other weird bitches, tend to go after children, all right? Mm-hmm. Protect your children. Pray over them. Baptize them. I know. If you're a Protestant, you got a problem with that. I grew up Protestant. Look.
I was an Orthodox, and I honestly believe the 2 nurses that got me baptized helped me in life.
Probably saved
me from her.
Or
whatever.
Complicated.
You know. I know. But honestly, don't underestimate the power of Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Because Protestants, baptism is more, it's not just about you. Okay, it's not just about you deciding to follow God and making a public statement. It is also about joining the kingdom of heaven. when you baptize a child, you're declaring that child as part of the kingdom of heaven and being owned by Christ. You have a right as the parent to do that. They have a right later on in life
to do it again
and decide to join up with that, right? You are basically declaring that your child belongs to God and is thus on the no screw with list, right? You screw with this kid, you're screwing with God. That's the association. That's the point. Understand, I am not Catholic. All right? Little Protestant people, all right? But you don't get everything right. The Catholics don't get everything right. The Coptics don't get everything right.
Even the Orthodox.
We are all blind men feeling up an elephant in a very uncomfortable way, and so things get wrong, okay? If I can use the Eastern, is it Eastern or African?
Eastern. It was either or. It could have been
proverb,
both.
Right? It was the Eastern proverb. If you don't know the proverb...
It could have been either or, because there's African elephants and then there's Asian elephants.
I'm pretty sure this is an Eastern proverb, though.
Yeah, because you won't be able to go near an African elephant.
Those bitches don't mess around. But when I say that, if you don't know the proverb, basically there's an Eastern proverb. I hope it's Eastern now that I'm calling it that.
Well, whatever.
Far Eastern proverb where 4 blind men have never seen an elephant before, and they all find an elephant and they're all touching it. Mm-hmm.
Describing it according to
and one feels the trunk and he's like, oh, it's like a hairy snake, right? Another one feels the legs, like, oh, it's like a big trunking rhino thing. And another one feels something it like really wishes it didn't feel. And then we're going to ignore that guy. And another one gets the ear and goes, oh, it's a flappy like a bat, right? Each one.
Bat or a stingray. I don't know.
Yeah, none of them are lying about the elephant, but they're all not getting the whole picture. That isn't to say that we also don't get the wrong picture, like the guy who grabbed the thing that we don't speak of, right? You know, that's an unfortunate. That's the Mormons, all right? That's the Mormons. They grabbed the wrong thing. Somebody took advantage of them. Avoid them.
Probably got heart, too. They were very confused.
Oh, God. I was actually going with butt wife. I don't...
I was
going to go with both.
Because you were going with both because you said we don't mention. I'm like, well, we always mention butts.
You got me there. You make me
feel like a horrible trap for me. Make it feel like I'm...
trap, man.
I'm not that crass. Not always.
She is Ukrainian, so, you know. Slavic. Oh, that's funny. Oh, man.
Really confused. He's hard. No, he ain't. What happened?
Wow, this is not the direction I thought this conversation would go. This isn't... You know, I love these podcasts because we deal with these creepy, crazy things, but we do it in such a way that you don't need to be creeped out by it. I know some of you might...
It really helps. It really helps. I'm not going to lie.
And I know some people might find that actually as a negative. They want to be scared. And I tell you...
We do not live by spirit of fear.
You should be rather facing the fear, not just, ooh, I like being afraid.
Well, then you're a weird uncle, you know.
And usually those kinds of people actually fall into 2 circles. First, they're atheists and they're idiots. And so they don't think about what they could be inviting in. Because they think none of it exists. And then you have the other people who are too attracted to the macabre. All right? Yeah. Not good. Both instances, bad. Slap you around. You're going to get your kids hurt. So don't do it. God. Things I have to say.
Well, it's funny. When you say things I have to say, and then you're like, well, things that God had to tell Moses to... You know, tell them to do, you know, like about cleanliness and all this. I'm like,
you have to wash yourself.
You have to wash yourself. Oh, what?
You got to wash your clothes. Also, if you screw that donkey over there, I'm going to murder you. What? Oh, okay.
Take care of your menstrual stuff properly.
Yeah. Don't just leave menstrual clothes lying around.
Okay.
Awkward. Mm-hmm.
That
was fun. Where am I in my notes? Got me all over the place.
We're talking about baptisms and about protecting your children.
Yes.
Yeah. We talked about shifting.
Oh, it was in the Babylonian Talmud, though I don't trust the Talmud much, but still, strangler, babies, succubus, vampire, ancient bloodlines. Okay. Yeah. That's why we do Psalms 91. Owl symbol. Fake story, ancient stories, don't mention that at all. Medieval creation. Woo! Don't you guys like it when someone like goes over their notes 10 billion times? Oh, here's the other reference that's interesting and works out here. To Lilith is we have Isaiah 34:14.
Isaiah 34.
Where it says the desert creatures will, and the night monster and resting place in the wilderness. Right. So the night monster.
13. Ooh.
Isaiah 34.
34.
And what's interesting about that one is it's referencing hairy things. Depending on your translation,
oh, please do not say tarantulas. Oh.
Actually, goats. Why?
Goats. Oh.
Like goat demons.
Oh,
or
shit.
Goat men, if you know what I mean.
Oh, shit.
Some translations will literally, Septuagint, for example, will say they're satyrs. So, like, fawns. Goat demons, if you will.
Oh, like in,
Which, interesting.
Narnia?
Yeah.
They really made him a positive character in that movie.
They did, but in C.S. Lewis's defense, he didn't think those things actually existed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know.
You would think after
he
writing,
he had connections to
shit, letters and all that.
Sure.
You would think, okay.
Well, what's interesting about this too is the fact that the Goat Man is actually one of the, shall we say, the big three of cryptid circles, if you will, of the big hairy bipeds. You got your the one everyone knows, Bigfoot. You got the other one that's less known but vicious, the Dog Man, and then you have the even lesser known but similar Goat Man. What's interesting about the Goat Man stories is they're almost
34?
34 verse 14.
And the wild animals shall meet with hyenas? H-Y-E-N.
Here, I'll read it. You
the wild goat man. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's good. This is another one I wanted to read before I got there. But here we go, boys. We'll read it together.
I feel better with my Bible.
Thorns shall grow over its strongholds, nettles and thistles its fortresses. It shall be the haunt of jackals, which an abode for ostriches. I was about to say, jackals and that stuff very well connected to skinwalkers. Not so much ostriches, though I'd be entertained.
Is that Persian? When I think of ostriches, I think of the scene in Prince of Persia where he's like writing the ostrich about the traitor.
It might have been a skinwalker wife.
Oh gosh, dang it! No.
No, it's embarrassing. He was trying to hide the fact he was invaded, and then he had to let the freaking dude ride him. Like, no,
the funny thing was they're doing the races because
Imagine this wife, right? You're a demonic entity. You're a vicious, violent witch. You're trying to get in there. You're like, I'm gonna hide like an ostrich. They'll never guess it. And then you get ridden in a race and treated like a clown.
You get manhandled pretty much.
Wait, I'm gonna read the whole thing.
Oh, good. Read the whole thing.
I like to read context sometimes, and I was not expecting ostriches. That was entertaining.
Oh man. Yeah, my cheeks kind of hurt from all this laughter.
And wild animals shall meet with hyenas. Ooh. Interesting. There is a Dogman version that's a hyena.
Hyenas? Is that what it says?
The wild goat shall cry to his fellow. And again, the Septuagint, so that's the Greek translation, actually says satyr. Could be goats, could be satyrs, who knows? Indeed, there the night bird settles and finds for herself a resting place.
Is that an owl?
Yes, there the owl nests and lays and hatches and gathers her young in her shadows. Indeed, there the hawks are gathered, each to her to seek to read the book. We might have a translation issue, and this is why you should read these things before
you stream.
Yes. Dang it.
Okay, put that on hold, and we'll go back to it.
Still, we have references to owls and bird. Remember, harpy, she's supposed to be like the face of a woman, and birdsness, or there's the other references is she comes in as a beautiful woman dressed in white. And everyone attached to the sea. And now anyone in a paranormal circle's brain just exploded because they go, wait a minute. Beautiful lady in white by the sea, that's the lady in white. Or possibly even La Llorona, which is another one to all you Mexican ones out there.
That's strange.
Now, I'm going to go with the Septuagint knowing something there when they did that. Even though the ESV going with the original one cancels out all the Seder business, is the fact that spirits are in the desolate place, demonic entities and all that. Right? So it makes sense that the freaky lady who mothered a bunch of monsters would be out in the desolate places, the deep woods and all that. But also connected to the sea in this case, because remember that whole first implementation of her as a demonic entity in culture had her by the sea as a siren type character, but was more of a harpy visually. Now people that one confused me when I was listening to Bo, because I'm like, you would call her a siren and then he described a harpy, and I'm like, people don't know the harpy is like a bird woman. Sirens are more like mermaids who sing to you and then you crash yourself on the rocks and stuff. But it does suit the character as a succubus type character, basically leading men to their death through her beauty and song or trickery, right? But we have that association with birds and the part animal business, the owl. And then we have that connection with Nama in the Far East with the half snake business. Incidentally, snakes being considered in a lot of Buddhist cultures to be messengers of God.
Well, if also
gods.
Remember in Prince of Persia, the snake goes from the guy's thing. He was like a messenger, that snake, and he got to open the.
Is that the video game Prince of Persia?
Prince of Persia: Sands of Times. That movie. I used to watch it a lot as a kid.
That was a movie about a video game.
I get it, but they had the snake, and Snakes. I remember it was like the message.
Yep, that's what they were getting it from.
Oh, shit.
I mean, we can go even crazier on this.
I know there was a video game too.
Yes. We could get even crazier.
There's a reason why I stopped watching movies after a while.
Because they were demonic?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just gay. That also happened.
Why repeat yourself?
But if we get even crazier with that, there's a whole concept of the Shrangala, but there's more to that. There's supposed to be like a cultic, weird people with two tongues who speak like snakes. Like they have snake tongues, and they can speak two languages at the same time.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, there's this whole interesting endeavor where various cultists in the West were approached by these people, or people who represented those people. Ooh, and they got all excited, and then the Eastern mystics got mad at the Western mystics for being too chauvinistic about the Christianity and stuff, and so they got mad and went away. Wham, wham, wham! How dare you not worship our demon? But yeah, and again, the dragons in the East are much more snake-like in their imagery. Snake. What is the devil? He is the old red dragon.
I realize I'm sure you're going to get that all over here.
I'll tell you what. And of course, the serpent in the garden. All fascinating stuff. And, where was I? What else did I wanted to say about that? Right. Yeah. So, the whole concept, though, that the Lady in White and maybe even La Llorona, I think is a possibility, being connected to these entities. You remember, white for marriage, marrying, that could be their forms that they take, referencing their marriages to the evil spirits, right, to the evil fallen angels. And then their full spirit forms that they would take would be more the animals they're associated with, the half owl, half woman, the half snake, half woman. What the other ones would be, I don't know. Maybe one would be more mermaid-like. Don't look at me. I don't have any cultural things to reference that. Wow. But kind of makes sense. And another reason, if you looked into some of our Sunday school lessons, the sea in old Jewish texts and everything was considered supreme evil. Remember, or like embodiment of the ultimate chaos. Mm-hmm. The devil, the beast, comes out of the sea. Right? The idea is, from a lot of Middle Eastern cultures and stuff, is that the devil's stronghold is in the ocean. Also, Atlantis having a strong connection to actually Baal worship and the original Nephilim and fallen angels. The fish hats, if you go way back, right? The fish hats, baby! You gotta go way back, like years back in my streams to talk about the fish hat priest people.
Where's our friend?
But again, right, connecting to Atlantis, right, the thing underneath the sea, all referencing for a bunch of cultures. Even the Hawaiian culture has a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that this evil entity place, like the devil's stronghold, is underneath the sea. Incidentally, we also have a bit in Revelations where it hints that anyone who died at sea is trapped there till the end days, where the ocean gives up all of the dead.
Oh wow!
Right, I referenced that before.
I remember that. Yeah.
Again,
I still hate the ocean.
Yeah, man, I love the ocean.
The deep sea.
But I despise how evil who makes it. So you have this interesting concept. Again, what are these entities tied to? Especially the lady in white. Not always, but usually the lady in white is often seen next to the ocean. Not all the time. Oh, it's raining. Like, yeah. Who's peeing in my bathroom? No. But
and also land.
Damn thing's leaking. Everything's leaking. Everything's trying to get me wet. Gah! Sorry. I had a whole I was on a roll there, and then my brain just had too much coffee, not enough nutrients. But
the peanut butter wasn't enough.
It was not enough.
I'm sorry.
But your dinner was delicious. Make them jealous.
Chicken Alfredo. I cook it wonderfully in avocado oil.
Yes, and onions, cut up peppers, saute. Peppers. Was that spinach in there too?
No, it was mustard greens.
It felt like spinach.
Mustard greens gives more flavor, but it has the crunchiness of spinach.
Nice.
And it blends. Really, it blends with spices a lot more. I think it gives an extra boost in the spices.
We should talk about your dinners on these streams too, just to make them.
With, basil. If you want to call it basil, you can.
Basil.
Garlic powder, salt.
No, speaking on this thing, my wife does amazing stuff with lemongrass, like her latest curry. Unfortunately, the dog got into it, and
3 days of diarrhea.
Let's just say my backpack is still in the washer machine.
I gotta put your pants in there and clean them too.
We can't because of the leakage right now.
Bummer.
Yeah, our washer machines sometimes leak and we have to pull it out and fix it. It's a pain in my ass. But hey, we move on. So, now that we had a fun, random, normal life stuff there, we'll get back into the role I was getting into, which I love myself.
Some women can't cook. But
don't trust the feminist entities. But
yes, don't. They got pagan cakes and shit, and they have weird diets. Don't. No.
The connection to the
feminists
ocean.
have weird diets.
Right.
They gotta keep their hair blue.
And the fact that they wear white. And the fact that this entity has a form in Eastern cultures and every other cultures. If these principalities have a female demonic form of basically being the wives of these fallen angels that are locked up, they could very well, this is still theory, being a principality of darkness over a specific region. I wouldn't say like the creme de la creme, but a powerful entity nonetheless. Hence owls and all this other crap being over here, snakes being over there, blah, 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 blah. There's also...
Thank God we don't have a female president. Sorry.
The attachment
comes to mind too.
to feminism and witchcraft also shouldn't be ignored. Lilith particularly is very important in a lot of witchcraft circles. And as I've brought up in, I think, lessons, but I don't think streams, the whole pagan attached to the chaotic nature of the world, that we were sent, but God created us to bring the entire earth into the kingdom of heaven and subdue the primordial chaos, if you will. Primordial chaos, you could also see as, say, a very strong-willed feminist who doesn't want to submit to a man. The nature itself not wanting to submit to God and join the kingdom, wanting its own power and everything like that. That's very philosophical in nature. I don't know how practical I can make it.
Holy cow, I just thought about Temple Horse.
Yep. Exactly.
The more I think of it, remember that interview?
Of the literal temple whore?
Yeah, and then the more I think of it, I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah, she's referencing a person whose name I will never remember or care to remember, but basically a lady who is a porn star who's trying to say her porn is spiritual, basically. And in the end, it just turned into temple prostitution.
And apparently she was like,
Basically, she was declaring herself God, and when you have sex with her, you're having sex with God, which is exactly what temple prostitutes supposedly did. They basically became the embodiment of whatever goddess they were there for, and thus when you had sex with her, you were having sex with that god. Basically saying they were possessed by that god when you had sex with them.
Well, just remember it like anything that feminists like to take the female sexuality stuff and pervert it.
Perverse it, yep.
And, with this thing here, I wouldn't be surprised there's some play in there.
I would say these entities are probably in charge of every flavor of feminism you can see. And particularly witchcraft itself. Like, I'm going one further and saying, sure, this is probably her playground, but she's in charge of the feminine witchcraft aspect. Like, this is why pagans and whatnot generally have like that goddess worship.
Core temples will have a different one.
Yeah, this is why that particularly strain of paganism that leads to witchcraft tends to have a strong emphasis on goddesses. We can also see the perverse imagery that's taken away from. I've brought this entity up before. Whatever thing that the Aztecs are worshiping. The modern Mexicans, they're turning into Aztecs. The cartels all worship this Lady Death, as they call her.
Right. We mentioned this in Sunday school, but I don't think we mentioned it here yet.
Yeah, which is a twisted... Yeah, don't worry, I'll leave at least a link to the other live streams where we go over our lessons. But basically, it's a twisted version of the depiction of...
we post these in our lessons. The same thing.
No, but these are in a podcast playlist. I will reference the live stream. Silly.
I am such a woman right now.
You are a woman. I'll give you that.
The proper woman, a woman of God.
Yes, indeed.
Lord Jesus.
Submits properly, and I submit to God. There we go.
Submit to Jesus Christ.
There we go. Why, if you don't have to witch test me every time.
I just love saying his name, okay?
She's going to be one of those grannies that she goes up and is like, Jesus Christ, save you, got it, devil shit face. And she'll be right, which is the funny thing. You realize that all those grannies that we looked away from and was like, is it Satan? We're right this whole time. Have you seen all the demonic crap going down in our politics and shit? They were fucking right. They had no business being right, but they were.
They probably don't even know why they were right.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But they were. It was always Satan.
I honestly think already some people think I'm that way. I feel
which is probably true, but you actually have more reason to believe that way. Which is
yeah.
Oh, man. So...
I just remember when someone says, "Oh, you don't want to play this game. It's not your type." And then I'm like, "What are you saying? You're afraid I'm gonna say something about it?
Maybe then you shouldn't be playing it yourself, little man.
You're afraid I'm gonna call it out?" Okay. Anyway, moving on.
Oh yeah.
I haven't thought about that in a while, and
Yeah. As I said, the depiction of Lady Death is literally a twisted version of the depictions of Mary with a skull face and all that. And I think more black imagery involved, but you could see the connection there. Like, the reason why I bring up La Llorona is sometimes the Wailing Witch, as she's called, who comes after children, and Mexicans particularly, and Aztecs descendants. I think I've heard references of those who might... They usually can't see her. They usually only hear her.
Oh, wow.
But I think...
Gato.
You better not be thinking of peeing on that. Oh, he is.
Let me just put him over the...
Are we too late?
Go bathroom.
Is he actually peeing?
Go bathroom.
You know, if anyone looked in this, they'd think you were throwing the cat away. Yes, he has a litter box. The litter box is with... why don't you just throw the bag away? Litter box is past some sleeping children. So... I think he was actually just laying in it. False alarm.
I gave him extra cushion then.
Anyway, distraction. So, the connection's there. Just saying. That one's kind of a wild shot in the dark. But I think I've heard references of those who claim to have maybe seen whatever La Llorona might have been, her wearing white. But I could be wrong. Don't take that at face value. Especially with these things that could shapeshift and take different forms and have different symbols. They're going to
cause confusion.
They're going to look freaking different sometimes. And...
Nosy. Stop.
And that's important. The big thing is looking at those themes of often being connected to the sea, right? Because of their sugar daddy in the ocean, the devil. The often references to purity and the basically being...
Trying to basically destroy what's pure.
Yeah, but also references to their marriages to the demonic... the fallen angels that are no longer around anymore, right? And them... being powerhouses in themselves rather than submitting because they
got so comfy in their
sugar daddies are in Tartarus, if you will. And you say, what's that term, Tartarus? It's basically hell for them while they wait for their
when you say Tartarus, judgment. I think of like a lemon tart, something really bitter, and they're just really bitter about it.
Does that doctor character... Is his ship called the Tartarus?
From Doctor Who?
Look that up on your phone real quick for me before I say that. Because if that's true, I might slap something around. Because my wife did bring up the whole owl connection in Harry Potter. And yeah, and again, witchcraft. And the amount of real-life witches who seem to have had their start in Harry Potter is actually kind of shocking.
Are you thinking about Doctor Who?
Yes.
Doctor Who's what?
Name of his ship. I think it's actually called the Tartarus.
I think so, yeah.
Which, there's no way that is an accident, if it is.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I think so. Like,
also, I can't help but notice that there's multiple versions of this immortal god-type character who's fucking with a bunch of women, basically.
TARDIS, yeah.
TARDIS, not Tartarus.
Okay.
But it's close enough. Yeah. And he always has a female companion, and he's fucking with all the time loops, and
it's so close.
Yeah.
And you think I used to watch that show, so...
It's alright. We were all tricked by various things.
I know.
I mean, I watched Stargate, which was really on the nose on a lot of stuff.
We both watched Stargate.
Still, one of these days we should do like a watch party of Stargate, so I could point out to you guys all the places where it's like
if I were you,
demonic.
I'd probably do like clips instead of like the whole thing.
Well, I mean, it's an excuse for content. It'd be kind of fun.
Copyright laws?
Like we talk over it.
We talk over it, okay.
Yeah. That's what, what's his face? Oh, Razor Fist does that with,
a lot of his
with
stuff.
Star Trek something 9, the one where they're in the space station, not in the ship.
Ah, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that idea. Someone needs to do it for Stargate.
I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, he does that on UATV, if you guys are curious about that. Alright, but I feel like I need to...
But he's mostly on YouTube. He has his own channel.
What does this have to do with you folks, though? Well, as we brought up the prayer to specifically fight these demonic entities, I would imagine it works with Lilith, and notice this whole verse that has me interested. You will not fear the terror in the night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the destruction that wastes at noonday. 4. You have 4 different specific things being referenced here. And how many names were listed for the wives of the fallen watchers?
Oh, shit.
4. And we know at least one of these is a reference to Lilith. What if these other ones are references to the other 4 demonic entities known as the Queen of Demons, Mother of Monsters? Right? Hence, a good reason to pray against all of them. And you don't know... There seems to be a strong connection that Lilith is attached to the general North America, possibly. Who knows how these regions are cut up, right? Because there also seems to be very distinct male characters like Baal that cover a lot of regions as well. So there seems to be a lot of overlap. But because of the owl imagery, because of a lot of the Native American stuff, because of things like Mothman, which, if you don't know, kind of literally comes up as a red-eyed moth.
We talked about him in here.
Right, but more than... Yeah, it's true. But
we
more than that, if you think about
it,
it, a lot of people were trying to say it was just an owl or a crane. What is it? It looks kind of like a Birdman thing. And they now have a festival to it with an actual idol where they leave gifts at.
And people even proposed in front of it.
Yeah. It's a little weird, don't you think, in retrospect? Yeah. And, Gato! You're so distracting, little cat.
If only you guys could see our cute little kitty
He's
cat.
gotten big since the last episodes, that's for sure.
Yeah, because when we started this, he was so tiny. His hair was like very poofy.
And now he's just demanding food because he hasn't been fed yet.
He had a ton of chicken today, though.
Oh, that's right.
When I was cooking the Alfredo.
Hi, Rosie. I haven't forgotten about you, the puppy.
Oh, yes, our puppy.
Yes, you're a wonderful dog.
When you're not pooping.
Yes. I mean, you haven't gotten into the curry. But again, right. That is, I want to mention, that's a shot in the dark. Right.
Oh, wow. Wow.
But it's a shot in the dark. I'm only going off of the fact that we have 4 and then referencing at least 1 specifically targeting a demonic entity. So,
guys, talk about Bible study right here.
But it's a reasonable concept.
It is.
That each one represents one of those freaks.
Rosie, no.
And it wouldn't be surprising that one would be considered a pestilence in the dark, another one would be considered the terror of the dark, another one would be destruction that wastes a noonday, another one, the arrow that flies by the day is kind of weird, but yeah. That one could be referencing almost like a war spirit in a way. And
the arrow flies by.
And the idea is you're specifically targeting each one of those in your prayer and telling them to get lost. That is important. This is part of the reason why we bring this up is there's a very personal connection for my wife and I.
We have a lot.
And we've only realized in passing the connections that probably led to this freak. Namely, we had a lot of attacks on our kids. We had a lot of attacks.
When I was first pregnant.
Yeah.
When we were getting married.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of issues with actual witchcraft coming after us and our children. We won't get into details,
even how some of it's like even, very close, too close to home, as in like those people.
Yeah,
who.
And wherever we went, the freaking symbols followed us in weird ways. Like even where we live now, like you've heard references to the movie, and there's weird owl imagery and witchcraft all throughout these towns. Very annoying. And it feels like God sent us here specifically for these reasons. Yeah. So we would see. And we want to share this knowledge so that you guys, especially
won't be tricked.
Yeah, and young couples particularly, will be prayed up and ready to go. Okay. Because this thing, this bitch, this whore thing, doesn't want a new remnant of God's kingdom to rise up.
And especially like a new generation. Remnant,
yeah, she doesn't want that. Think about, if this is her playground, as we suspect, think about what the tribes were like that were here before God brought the Spaniards and everybody over here. What were they like? They were small tribal groups, terrified of what was in the woods, scared of the birds. Even if it wasn't one of her familiars, maybe it was just a normal owl, they were terrified of them just because they were associated with her. Now, they had other entities that could be thought of as similar things that could have been attached to her, and they were almost completely at the mercy of her and her monsters.
Gosh.
Right? This is... Though there are occasional stories, and I bring this up, of tribes wiping out like Bigfoot clans and stuff. Like they have stories of wiping out the cannibalistic giants up at the mountains and stuff, or the little people on an island that they wiped out.
Oh gosh.
By wee little people, we're talking about like little demonic freaks that ate people.
Like fairies.
Yes.
Okay.
We're not talking about midgets.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
That's funny. I mean, you talk about midgets. Someone I'm not going to mention who is possibly a possible witch was actually afraid of witches because she was midgets because she thought one of my relatives was a midget. Like she had some kind of dwarfism gene
They are
genetic
pretty
thing.
sharp.
And so she was very like, ooh. And it
funny.
came to her wedding.
This person also has tattoos of
Specific, like
moons.
the moon crescent, the feminist symbol, and yeah. But anyway,
we move on.
That's. I'm not going to go any more personal than that.
This knowledge helps us pray against it now. The idea, even if a lot of it, again, right, we're seen through a very dark glass, and from sources I can't fully, like I haven't read some of them completely yet. But the connections help us pray against them. We know we have that Psalms 91 prayer. We know to specifically be ready for them to come after our kids, specifically. Very young babies also, right? We have the attachments to whatever witchcraft we can expect and what to look out for. Obviously, a lot of people think Lady in the White is just a harmless ghost, right? Now you know better. Now you know that it might be more than just a ghost. So, and again, right, the siren by the sea.
Yeah.
He just wants to lay on that thing like a weirdo. Sorry, our cat has been peeing in random places lately. So every time he lays down weird, we get a little antsy.
He's looking like bread now, so okay.
Yes, we're safe.
Well, it's kind of interesting, too. Like, I've noticed this every time there's, like, when my grandpa was living and when he was doing his ministry, every time he prayed, baby dedications, like any minister, really, not just my grandpa, but I've noticed an increased number when it comes to baby dedications or baptisms, the kids are crying.
Oh, on that
when
note,
you're praying over the kid, and then after that, they're fine.
On that note, baby dedication works too. Like whether it's a baptism or a baby dedication, I don't think that matters as long as you're declaring the baby belongs to God.
But it's just really interesting when it goes up to that point where you're literally saying the prayer and dedicating them to God. They're always, they're unease. It's really fascinating. I mean, what I mean. In a spiritual sense, it's like,
Side note also, I don't think full submerging of the baby is necessary.
It's necessary. Just sprinkle the baby.
And you could do oil, just a little on the forehead. You could just pray over them.
Dip your finger in water and put it. Yeah.
Is that you dedicate them in one way or another.
Yeah.
You do you in the end. Yeah. And that has been your public service announcement and the attachment to the possible mother of monsters and freaks.
Oh my goodness, it is
and the fact that there's probably 4 of them. Something to think about. And no, I haven't seen those other 2 names anywhere else, and neither has Bo as of the last I've checked. Maybe he has found them yet. He's obviously more passionate about this than I because of a more personal connection with his daughter. But if you're curious about that, I would recommend watching the interview on the Confessionals. It'll be about Lilith something, or going to that guy's podcast, the Bum Podcast.
And just look at it,
He's a very interesting man, and good stuff.
Pray before you watch any of it.
Yeah.
When you do research, don't do research past nighttime.
You do when you got to do it, but be smart about it.
Be smart. Make sure you're
all prayed up.
Your mind's clear. You got the clarity in mind.
And
if you need to stop and pray at that moment, do it.
Maybe watch something silly to get your mind off of it. Like
take a shower afterwards or something. Cleanse.
Because you don't want to accidentally start worshiping and allowing these things in. Because that's what they want. There's that classic joke of like, when you look into the abyss sometimes stares back. Well, the abyss should be freaked out by you, scared of you because of the power of God inside you if you were a Christian. If you're not a Christian, you shouldn't be touching any of this stuff because you're an idiot. But now you know. Go do your confessions and go turn your life around. And mean it. Right. The important thing, though, is when you're researching this stuff, you're doing it with the right heart, and you're not trying to worship it because you can easily let this stuff in. Yep. Bad juju, don't do it. Don't trust the lady in white.
Okay, don't trust lady in They can't even drive a car. I know this from personal experience because I am a woman, and I sometimes drive like an Asian.
And don't trust the owl snakes. I can't believe it at that. I forget. I have an outro that I add on top of it. I forgot.
Outro. What was that?
It's something that I do in post, so we can just say we're signing off.
Okay.
Fun stuff.
Well, Grizzly's out.
later. Oh, I should say, check out the lesson, boys.
Yes.
The lessons. If you're interested in what we talked about here, you'll be interested in our live streams. I put up a new...
The Warrior's Path, yep.
Yep, the Warrior's Path. I put up a new lesson for young men every Sunday on Archaven, and then we go over it on Monday on live stream. We're also live streaming some video game news stuff every Friday now.
That's true.
Look up... Wait, I don't know when... No, this one will be a while. Oh, hey. Ha. It's okay. I just realized it's going to be a while before I actually put this one. I might put this one up out of order.
You could put this one out of order, because this is a very intense,
fresh one.
Need to know, fresh in mind, get it out.
Okay.
And then the other ones, can follow.
So we're going to age it by talking about what I'm going to talk about this Friday as we actually live stream the fact that Foxhole is getting Air Force, baby. Woo! I was wondering when.
But they're going to do that. We're not going to tell when. But I'm really excited for it from the little snippet I saw.
Yeah, that's right. I got my wife playing Foxhole, and everyone's like, "What the hell is that?" It's a.
I like to watch foxes jump in holes. Okay,
and then blow them up with TNT. It's a very violent game. Anyway. See you guys at all those things.
We don't blow the foxes with TNT.
Whatever you guys... We blow the furries up. Whatever you guys find interesting, I recommend go watch.
Collie skunks.
Yeah. Wardens forever, baby.
Alright. You mean that, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we might do Collie every now and then. But for Warden forever, yeah. We'll see you guys later.
Yeah, Grizzly's out now.
Thanks for watching another episode of the Grizzly Files. New episodes come up every Saturday at 5 p.m., so make sure to come back for that. We also have a Sunday school lessons for young men called the Warrior's Path. New lessons go up every single Sunday at 9:30 in the morning in written form, and then on archaven.com, and then we'll do a live stream going over it the next day on every Monday at 10 p.m. to 10:30 p.m., depending on when my kids go to bed. We also have another live stream on Fridays, which is our Grizzly gaming stream. It's a good time to hang out and talk games and all kinds of crazy crap. That one, again, will start at 10 p.m. to 10:30 p.m., depending on when my kids go to bed. We also have a kids book that you guys should check out. It's called David and the Three Bears. It's up on Amazon. It's like if you made a story about King David as a kid when he's attacking bears and things. Into a fable. Yeah, that's all. Come back for more. We're going to be making more content as we go. So like, subscribe, share. Come back for it all. Can't wait to see you there.